Well, hello friends. Today I'm gonna hack a little bit on the GUI stuff, and I'm gonna make a list box widget because currently I only have this, where is it? This table widget, and sometimes you want to have a widget that just has a single column of text entries, and I was thinking I'll make a list view sort of thing, but it would still have the same data storage as this guy, as the table view. It's just that it will only care about the first column, or I guess like a specific column in the data model that you're using. Then, in the future, or however soon I get to that, this list view thingy could also be used as the foundation for a combo box, which I would also like to have. But before we can do any of that, we need to make a list view. So let's just jump right into that. And of course, I'm going to be a little bit lazy and reuse the table view code. And let me refresh my Qt Creator. But table view obviously has a lot of stuff that we're not going to need, because we are just only going to care about a single column here. So let's just start with renaming it, and then we just start by cutting out everything that we know for sure that we're not going to need. So we're not going to need header height, because we're not going to need to have named columns in a list view. Headers are never going to be visible, so we can get rid of that. Alternating row colors, probably we want to have that. Content width, horizontal padding, these are more probably useful. Is column hidden? See, those are not. That's not interesting. Okay, great. And then down here in the private parts, we got the header rect. We don't need the header rect because we're not going to have a header. We don't need column resizing. We don't need column width. We don't need any column data because there's just the one column, so we can get rid of all that. And then headers visible, blah blah blah, column resize. Okay, and no header context menu either. So we were able to cut out quite a bit. That's good. Then let's go in glist view cpp and see. First thing is that we're just gonna do a little search and replace here. Okay. And so glist view and gtable view and gtree view, they all inherit from this thing called gabstract view, which in turn inherits from gscrollable widget. And the way that a scrollable widget works is that you have this concept of the content and the container, and then the content is this thing that moves around inside the container, and visible content rect, for instance, tells you which part of the big content is currently visible in the little clipped out part that you can see inside the container. And I find it really useful abstraction, although I think it could be improved. But yeah, so we're going to be using that now. So you need to do a couple of things to be able to function as one of those scrollable widgets. That you have to update your content size. Whenever it changes, you have to notify the superclass that the content rect has changed, and the content it's moved around or changed somehow. Anyways, let's just keep carving stuff out that we don't need. So I guess the content size of a list view is just going to be, the height will just be the number of items times the item height, and the width will just be the width of the column with the longest text on it, or with the whitest text on it. So height-wise, we already covered here. But for the width, we are gonna have to iterate. So, do we have some nice way of iterating through all the rows? Int row is, I mean, that's good enough for me. So we go through all of the rows and we say, model data or auto text, model data, model index row 0, or no, we should be able to have a custom column. So let's call that M model column. And can use role display, yeah. So now for each row in the data model, we're just going to get the text for the display role. I guess I can write that out to make it crystal clear. G model role display. And then we have to actually invent that guy. Oh, why is this protected? Oh, right, because I'm looking in the wrong place. Int M model column. So this will just be defaulting to 0 at the moment, and we can make that mutable or make it possible to edit it later. But for now, we are just going to hard code it like that. Okay, so we have the text, and we can say content width, max of content width, and font width text. Oh, I have to convert it to a string actually. So calling data on a model will give us a G variant, which could then be like a string or a number or whatever. So we have to convert it to a string. Right, so we loop through here, and then now we know how wide it needs to be. Cool. And size occupied by fixed elements is a scrollable widget thing, but we are not going to have any fixed elements, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay. I think we're good with that. I guess it's a little bit spacious, or spacey, this code. All right. Content rect. So, oh, right, computing the content rect for a row and column. So we don't need the column index here, but we do need the row. And then, let's see, then the content rect. So the content rect is like the rect in the content coordinate space. So there's like the widget coordinate space or the container coordinate space, and then the content coordinate space. So imagine that the content is like a sheet of paper that you're like putting your hand on and moving around, and then you're looking at it through the frame of the container or the frame of the widget. And obviously, like a 0, 0 in the widget space is just at the top left of the widget, whereas 0, 0 in the content coordinate space is like at the top left of the content, but that might be anywhere relative to the widget coordinate space. And now it's starting to rain outside. I hope that it's not too loud. Anyways. So let's move forward. By the way, I definitely struggle with coordinate math, so if I seem to struggle or if I seem to get stuck sometimes, it's because this is very difficult for me. So let's see, content rect is just going to be, x is just going to be 0, right? And then y is just going to be the, item row times the item height. And the height is just going to be the item height. And now we just need the width. That would be font width of model data for an index pointing at the row and the model column. Same as above. To string. And I think that's that. Okay, now here we have to take the padding into account. So we can just do that, and content directive row, so horizontal padding plus X. Yeah, I think that's all we need to do. And then Y, and width and height. Okay. And content direct for a G model index. This is just going to be content direct for the row. So this is from G abstract view, I think. Content direct, yeah. So the abstract view has this thingy that it needs its derived classes to be able to tell it where a certain index is found in the content coordinate space, and that's used for if the view is told like, hey, scroll yourself so that this particular index is visible, then this is what that's used for. That the abstract view can query the derived view for that information. Anyways, so I guess I just implemented this thing already, so we don't need that as much anymore. I'm using that in a few places. But row rect is such a crappy name compared to content rect. We don't even need this or that. And yeah, I mean, I guess we could start by just cutting out functions that we already decided that we don't care about. Make this seem a little less daunting. So all of these things, blah, blah, blah. Paint headers, there are no headers, so forget about that. No headers, no need for this. No column resize. No. None of that. I guess we don't need these mouse move and mouse up events. Mouse down, on the other hand. Yeah, and then content direct only needs the row. Maybe we can look for this in a few places. No, okay, then what was the other one? Row rect. So we can fix that up so it says content rect. Header height, we don't have to worry about that. So don't actually have to translate to account for the headers. Don't have to care about that. Don't have to care about the header context menu. Don't have to care about any context menu actually. So you can get rid of the context menu, mouse up, mouse move, paint headers. Where did they go? Mouse move and mouse up, right? Alright, we're starting to get down to a manageable size here, 250 lines. It's getting better and better. So what do we have here? Y offset is header height. Well, we're going to start at 0. What's this even used for? Y offset. Oh, it's not used. Cool. And then if column is hidden, well, it's never going to be hidden. And the column width, There's really no such thing as the column width anymore. It's just the width of the widget. So that would just be width, I suppose. And where is that used? Down here, cell rect. And then what do we do? So painting happens in, the painter is translated so that we're painting in the coordinate, in the content coordinate space, which is a lot easier to paint like that instead of having to like translate manually every time that you want to put a line or a rect or whatever somewhere. But I feel like I have to say I feel like there's some like really sweet abstraction missing here, where I could have like encoded in the type of coordinate, like there would be such a thing as a content rect, content point, the content size, and also like a widget rect, a widget point, and a widget size, or something like that, where they wouldn't be interchangeable. Like the compiler would tell you like, hey, you're mixing the two coordinate spaces. Maybe that's something that should be a thing. I haven't really worked it out in my head exactly how I want that to work, but it's something I always end up thinking about whenever I'm editing code like this. So yeah, that's something to get back to. Right, so the column width that we wanted to edit here. Oh, right, so this thing is in a loop actually, and we're not going to need that because there's only going to be one column. So we don't need the column metadata, and the column width is just the thing, and the font is just, I mean, should we respect the font from the model? Maybe we should, because the model will provide a font, so I suppose we could do that. That's something that we could do, but instead of column index, we'll just say model column. And this code will only run once, so it's not going to be in a loop, so we don't need the x offset thingy, because that's just going to be 0. Okay. And what else we got? Let's indent this. Indentation is very important to me, as those of you who have submitted pull requests may have noticed that I'm very particular about indentation, and I should say that it's not that I find this specific style of indentation especially important or especially good. It's just that I know that consistency in coding style is extremely important to keeping quality over a long term in a project. It's like broken windows theory, basically. Okay, so is key column, so in the table view, there's this concept of a key column, which is the key that you're sorting on, and here we are not going to have such a thing, so we just ignore that. Key column. And I mean, the thing that the paint code is doing with the key column is just drawing it in a slightly different background color, so that's certainly unimportant. And cell index, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then after we've drawn the single column, then what we do is we grab the rest of the widget, the remaining area, and we want to fill that with white, basically. So this is just, here we paint all of the rows that we have something to paint on, and then say that we painted 3 rows, right? But like there's a lot more vertical space and we need to fill that with something, so that's what we do here. We just fill it with white. Yeah. So I think we can remove a little bit more gunk here, but it's getting to the point where we should probably try to run this and see how it works. So why don't we do that? Let's edit the makefile and add this guy here to the libgui makefile. Okay. And we are going to need a test program that has a list view in it. So I suppose we could use the hello world. And let's make a custom model for this. Let's see, include GUI G model and glist view. Okay. And then we just make a little model. And geez, I don't even remember the names of all these things that you have to implement. So it's a little bit clunky, I have to admit. The G model, but once you have it set up, then it's a really nice way of implementing these views. So I haven't found anything better. Let's put it that way. And public G model, right? Final. And let's say that we have 3 rows. And column count, I guess, I mean, that's not really relevant for us, but we'll say return 1. Row name, not really relevant. Column name, not relevant. Column metadata, not relevant. Data, however. Or actually, we can even skip those. And update can just do nothing. Let's just put override on these, because it irks me that I'm getting this warning. Okay, and then when asked for the data, we will say return string format row, and we will just put the number of the row here. So that would be an index row. All right. Oh, and we'll say if role is role display, then that, otherwise return an empty variant. Okay. And then we just have to actually make a widget for it. So view SG list view. And we put that below the label. And why didn't I type new glist view, right? And we say view set model. We'll create a test model. Okay. And we are going to need to make ourselves a nice and helpful command line, because I'm pretty sure this isn't going to work exactly the way I expected. Certainly not on the first try. I'm in the wrong directory, so let's go to the kernel. Okay, boom. Wow, look at that. That's closer than I expected to what I had in mind. Nice. All right. So a couple of things that the rect for the content should really be wide enough to fill the whole view or fill the whole widget, because it's kind of weird. This feels more like this file manager item list view thingy, where like you have these tiny little labels that you can click on and then multiple columns of them. But in this case, I really want them to just span the whole thing. So that's the content rect stuff that we were looking at. But other than that, it's looking pretty cool. Let's see what happens if we make it too small. Then scrolling works. When we are scrolled, they still, mouse events are translated correctly and everything. The scroll bar looks a little goofy here, but that's not the list view's fault. It's just scroll bars like that. Actually, it's something we should probably fix, but not right now. Maybe I'll file a bug about that though. So let me do that right away. Otherwise, I'll just forget. I'm trying to get better about filing bugs, because there are so many of them, and if I file bugs about them, I noticed, then sometimes people just show up and work on them, and it's fucking amazing. So let me file this. Let's see, new issue. G scroll bar. Don't look so silly when very small. Currently, G scroll bar doesn't have that much space to paint himself. His sub-widgets get cramped and step on each other. Okay, that would be oh, I never know what this is. I guess it's a bug. Okay. So, back to what we were doing. Right, so let's fix up that content rect so that it is wider. So it should certainly start at 0, although we have this thing here that the horizontal padding is pushing us out to the side. Excuse me. And that makes a bit more sense in the table situation, but here we probably want to paint, certainly the selection rect should span the entire widget, and actually clicking here, for instance, should also activate that row. So let's look at the click thing first. So let's see, mouse down event. Then we are going through all of the rows and checking if the content rect contains this row. So this is actually like not the most efficient algorithm, but it's just something that works. And here we are going through all of the columns, which we certainly don't need to do. We only need to care about, like if the row is a hit, then it's officially a hit. And we'll say model column. All right. And then we just want to fix up content rect so that it is, oh, should it just be as wide as wide as the whole content? I think maybe that's the thing. So width, instead of making it the width of the specific item or specific row, we'll just say that that's the whole content width. Okay, let's try that. Undefined reference to glist view content width. Oh, because that's not implemented anywhere. Well, whatever. We will just not define that, and then we'll get it for free from gscrollable widget. Okay, so these still look not right. Why is that? Content width. So, how should this work now? wonder if this is really correct. Did we actually did we actually rebuild, I wonder? Let me just print out the content width just so we can see what it is. So those things were not as wide as the content width. It's 37. Oh yeah, because it's the width of the widest one. So it should be the width of the widest one, unless the widget is even wider than that. If so, it should be the width of the widget. Yeah, so that's something that the current implementation here, where the abstraction doesn't really accommodate in a nice way, where you want the content to expand so that it's at least as big as the widget, and you're sort of in this hybrid area between it's not really content and it's not really widget. And I'm just not sure like what the API would look like that would make sense for that, but I'm sure that something will surface eventually. It usually does. So I guess when we do update content size, we have when this is being called, then we can just query the size of the widget and take that into account. So we'll say that content width is max of content width and I guess width, or frame interact width. This is still weird. Oh, wait, but would it work if I resize them? No? These things are still like that? Okay, I want to see what this is about. Update content size. Oh, but who calls that? Oh, only update model. Right. Okay, I see. So here's that hybrid business that I was talking about. So we need to react to the resize event. Resize event. And then in glist view resize, not resize event, we can do update content size, and then we just call our superclass. So resize event, okay. Yeah. Right, so that's better. So now when the widget resizes, then it actually goes in and computes the new content size. But we are going a little bit too wide here, and that's probably because of the horizontal padding business. That's something that we're going to have to do differently. So let's see, how many places is that stuff? Horizontal padding. It's just in these two places. Okay, so it's for the content rect. So if we're starting the content rect a little padded on the left, then I guess we should be padded on the right too. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Width is content width, and the content width doesn't care about the padding, right? always get stuck on stuff like this. How do I want this to work? Should we just have no padding? What would that even look like? I mean, that doesn't look right. And this thing here is still wrong anyway. Although, why are you so wrong now? I mean, I like that the red goes all the way to the left, but clearly we want that padding. We just want the padding to be filled in. So let's see, content rect. What am I trying to do? Okay, so let's do the painting part first. So to paint this thing, we compute the cell rect, we call it, which should probably be called something like row rect instead. Row rect, and we can start it at 0. And column width can really just be width, or content width, actually. Column width. Now, so the thing is that the scroll bar, as you saw, like it kept overestimating, or we kept having like a I don't know what the word for this is, that like it thinks that there's more content than there really is. So if you look closely, you'll see that this thing here is exactly the same width as this vertical scroll bar here. So what we should probably do is just subtract the scroll bar. And I wonder if there is that what the widget inner rect is? Yes, it is. The widget inner rect gets rid of any width and height occupied by the scroll bars. So that's what we want to use, not the frame inner rect here when we were computing the content width. So we should use the widget inner rect. Okay. Now that's looking better because it doesn't tell us that we have some scrollable stuff. And if we go too small, see here, then this thing suddenly activates and we are able to scroll, even though it looks shit, but at least we found a bug about that already. Okay, now this thing doesn't look exactly right, so we still need to fix some stuff. But we are on our way. So what was it called? Cell index. It can just be called index. And let's see. So that's the row rect. And where did we do the selection stuff? So if it's the selected row, then we do the background color like this. And here's where we fill the background, and we fill unconditionally the content rect. Right. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to move this down and fill the row rect instead. Yep. So that's good. And where's the content rect? Let's just say that the content rect starts at x0. Yeah, and then we will just pad in the painting code instead. I'm gonna have to do that goofy thing that we were doing up there. Horizontal padding. Now we don't have that anywhere, so we will just add some padding when we paint. How about that? So when we draw text, we'll just say row rect translated horizontal padding. I guess we should be a little bit nicer here because we can't just translate it. We also have to carve some off of the right side when we do that. So let's call it text rect. This is row rect, and then text rect set x or translate. Is it move by? Okay, move by. Horizontal padding 0, and then text rect set with minus horizontal padding times 2. Does that make sense? I guess let's make those a little bit longer so that we can see what's going on. Instead of just row, we can say like, hello, this is row pound number. Right, so actually these things are not painted the way that I expected they would be because I don't actually pass the text right. Okay, so now there's like this little offset, but what happens if we do that? It still looks fine. Maybe that horizontal padding is a bit chunky actually. What is it? Horizontal padding 5. How about we cut that down to 2? What's up with 5? That's too big. Yeah, that's a lot more reasonable. Okay, and then scrolling seems to work. And let me get that. Yep. So let's try keyboard navigation. That seems to work too. I didn't even have to do anything. Thank you, GTableView. Cool. So I think maybe we have something here that we can consider working well enough to commit. Let's see. So we don't need this leave event because we never override the cursor, so we can just get rid of that too. And double click event, that's for editable models. So I guess we can just keep that, but do I want to screw with that right now? Let's see. I guess we can try to screw with it a little bit. What would happen if we just... I'm just curious what it looks like, really. Maybe it's not something that I would necessarily work on fixing right now because editing through the model view stuff is experimental. So, but let's see what happens if we just try to activate it. Clickety click. Look, nothing. Okay. And is editable. Are you even trying? Probably this is just not working, but I'm not going to sweat about that. Yeah, okay, so forget about that stuff in this. Let's ignore that. And that's for future Andreas to work on. Okay, so how about we do a patch review? Okay, so this is just a test app. I am going to keep that, but put that somewhere unfinished thing, fancy name. And then we'll just get rid of it so that we can see our fancy patch. And the GUI, G, list view, H, and CPP. Okay. So glist view, what remains of you? I guess there was some stuff in there that we don't actually need, I think. So let me see that we can compile this without. Okay, so I needed that. I was wrong. How about G window? Do I still need that? I didn't need that. G menu. I can get rid of that. G action though. Don't need it. What about key code? Key code, I need key code. String builder. Am I using that? Didn't think so. Okay. G model. Surely some models included that. G text box. Someone else had that too. Okay. Great. Then that's slightly nicer. Lib GUI glist view CPP. Okay, so what do we have here? So when we create a glist view, it just inherits from a gabstract view and then sets itself up with a container shape frame, and it's the sunken look with 2 pixel thickness for that typical like Windows 9X look, right? Okay, and then glist view update content size. If we don't have a model in this view, we just set an empty content size. Otherwise, we will iterate through all of the rows and then compute the widest one, or figure out who's the widest, and then if the widget is even wider than that, then we'll use the widget inner width. Otherwise, we'll use the widest one as the content size. Okay, and then here we take care that when the widget is resized, then we also update the content size. So we get that effect where even if the content is smaller than the widget, then the content still stretches to fit the widget. Maybe that's something that G abstract view should offer as a service. I don't know. I'll mull it over, but I think maybe that would be a good thing. Okay, and then did update model. When the model is updated, then we just update the content size and then we repaint. That's fine. And then the content rect for a row is just spans from the left to the right and starts at the symmetrical Y position, and it's as tall as an item. So I don't know why this doesn't need to be spelled out so extremely explicitly. We can just do it like this, because it became so simple in the end. Very nice. And okay. Okay, and then this is for the scroll into view that I mentioned, scrolling stuff into view. And then adjusted position, his job is to take like the position from like a mouse event and then convert that into the content coordinate space. So this would be a good place to make use of that. Those 2 different types of coordinates that I was dreaming about earlier. Okay, and then in the mouse down event, if we don't have a model, we don't care. And if it's not the left mouse button, we don't care. And then we adjust the mouse position, look through all the rows, and if we have a hit, then that row becomes the new selected index in the model. Okay. Otherwise, if you're clicking outside, then you lose your selection. Fine. Okay. And then when we paint, we clip to everything, clip to the frame interact, and then we clip to the event rect. And then we also translate the painter so that we're painting in the content coordinates. And exposed width. What's that used for? Oh, well, okay, whatever. Okay, so then basically what we do then is we just loop through all of the rows and paint them, paint the background, and extract the text. And I mean, we also support bitmaps and icons, but we didn't test that. But I guess I'll come back for that later. But normally we just paint the text content of the thing, and that's fine. And then we fill the remaining parts with white. And here's the item count. Is anybody actually using that? G list view. Somebody is. Okay, well, whatever. I'll leave it alone. Okay, and then key down. We didn't touch. It's just exactly the same as the table view. So I'm not even going to look at that. And scroll into view. Just does this, which could probably be done at superclass level, but I don't care right now. And then double click, we didn't touch, so it's just the same as the table view. And then down here we have the header, and I think we ripped out everything from table view that we don't need, except we forgot to change the name here, I see. So list view, should change that. Okay. Other than that, all of these things are still participating except row rect, which doesn't exist. And that's that. Okay, cool. So I think we have a patch here. So let's just say git commit a with GUI. Add a simple G list view. Alrighty. Based on G table view. Well, it's not really based on it. Basically, a stripped down G table view. Well, it's not that either. Okay. Okay. G list view displays a single column from a G model. It's based on a G table view, but behaves differently. Why am I even saying these things? Is there really anything interesting to say about this widget? I guess not. So that's fine. Let's just see it one more time instead. It's more interesting. Cool. Of course, there are things to fix about this widget. Like I can tell here that we're able to cover a little bit of the 2 here without the widget becoming scrollable, stuff like that. You know, I'm gonna have to go in and tweak stuff like that, make it perfect. But I think we got off to a good start here. I'm pretty happy with it. So I think I'm gonna end the video here. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching and for coming back, and hello to all my new subscribers and other new visitors today. I hope to see you next time. Ciao.